we're going to bring up your next speaker. That's going to be the wonderful, magnificent Chris James.
If you talk about how much you hate your fat, your body has been working all this time to keep you alive. I don't think anybody in my circle understands impossible. Hi, I'm Chris James, and today we're going to be talking about a hard truth because here's the reality. Being fat is a choice. If you guys are ready to hear this, stay tuned. Okay, so this video is one of those things where, you know, it's like we're going to have a heart-to-heart. There are a lot of people out there that believe that there are other elements, there's other forces at play that are keeping them fat or obese or, you know, overweight, wherever you guys are at. The reality is that while there are factors that impact your weight, how you put on weight, where you get weight, right? Your genetics can play roles in how you're shaped. The unhealthy habits that you have that are causing you to pack the pounds on, that's 100% your doing. Whether you're talking about thyroid issues, whether you're talking about, you know, your genetic, your culture, whatever it is that's common, these common themes that people kind of use as excuses to say why they are the way they are. I want to go down like a list and kind of break down some of them to help you understand why you're honestly just lying to yourself. Obesity is not about genetics, okay? Obviously, there are people in the world that are they're going to be bigger, right? They're going to be taller. They're going to have broad shoulders. They're going to have wide hips. How you're shaped, your physique is definitely genetic. Your genetics is going to determine how tall you are, the color of your hair, the color of your eyes. And so your genetics is your destiny, right? However, how big you are, how much you weigh, that is really your choice. That is your free will. So you have your destiny, which are things that you cannot change. It is going to happen. It is laid out for you. And then you have your choices, your free will. And I want to create a clear, distinct line between these, because if you guys believe that you're overweight or you're obese or that you're so prone to being overweight or obese, there's nothing you could do about it, you're not going to put toward the effort to actually correct that problem, okay? So let's look over maybe 5 behaviors that are causing you to be fat and why I say being fat is a choice. Number 1, overeating. One of the things that I get from a large amount of people who are around me, maybe not necessarily in my community, maybe not necessarily, working with me, but it's people that see the outcomes of those who are in the AHA community. And they know that it's possible to lose large amounts of weight in short period of time through fasting and things of that nature. But what they'll say is, well, Chris, I don't even eat that much. If only I had $1, right? Here's the thing. First of all, most people don't understand how frequently they put food in their mouth. Most people are grazers, which means that they wake up and they just start snacking all day long. They only really trigger the thought that they're eating when they sit down for a full meal. They don't think about what they ate on the way to work. They don't think about the candy they're eating. They don't think about the gum they're chewing. They don't think about the chips that they had. So that's the first thing. When people tell me, Chris, I don't really eat that much, the first thing I question is, do you have a food journal? Have you ever logged it? Do you actually know every morsel of food you're putting in your mouth? And the answer is no. Okay? Because that level of mindfulness will allow you, it'll give you tools, it'll give you the ability to make better choices. So typically, it's a subconscious eating, which is bad. So the first thing we want to do is identify how frequently are we eating. Now, the other thing is, because we've been taught this lie, calories in, calories out, we think in our head, okay, I had some Dorito chips, I had some candy, whatever, it's small, it's not that big of a deal, it's not that much. Well, even if you look at your belief system, if it's calories in, calories out, the amount of calories in a small bag of Dorito chips is astronomical based on how much actual food you're getting, right? I saw an image on Facebook recently where it showed, like, let's just say a fast food meal. You're talking burgers, fries, drink, and it's 1,500 calories, and it's just those three items. I think it had an apple pie too, right? On the other side, it had this entire spread, okay? Probably 4 different dishes. And I mean, it looked like at least 3 times as much food. And under the fast food image, it said, I don't eat that much. And under the spread, it says, I eat a lot and never gain a pound. Perception is so important. If you are eating highly caloric dense foods, highly processed, refined foods, you don't need to eat very much for you to get the same caloric density of a natural food, okay? Whereas you, on one side of the table, you could eat a complete buffet of natural food, whole foods, and have perfect digestion and not gain a pound. On the other side, you could eat very little. I don't eat that much, and just can't do nothing with your weight. Weight just keeps going up. So understanding the difference, understanding the nuance between what you're eating, how it's impacting your body, plays a huge role in your level of success of losing weight. And you need to understand that if you are eating fast food every single day, being fat is a choice. There's no way that you all can convince me that you are eating whatever you want in whatever quantity, whether it's, you only eat a little bit, or you're just snacking here or there, you're forgetting what you eat, and you're saying, I don't eat that much, but you're not being intentional about what you eat. And I'm going to say, okay, yeah, this person just, there's nothing that they could do. Like, you're not even trying at this point. Okay? So whether you're eating a lot of garbage or a little bit of garbage, if you're overweight, if you're obese, and you eat mostly garbage, you can't even begin the sentence to say, oh, I'm trying, I'm doing this, because that has such a heavy impact on your weight, on your health, holistically, right? So the first thing that you guys want to change is the types of foods you're putting in your mouth. If you're eating whole foods, now you might be saying, oh, Chris, I'm eating whole foods. Okay, I still want you to do the food journal. Look at every single thing you put in your mouth, everything you put on your food. If you make a hamburger from scratch at home, is the bun made from scratch? Probably not. Are the condiments made from scratch? Probably not. Is your salad dressing made from scratch? Probably not. These are all processed foods, highly refined foods, have high fructose corn syrup, and you think it's just a little ketchup, Chris, it's just a little ranch. No, it's not. It's not just a little nothing. The amount of calories in those condiments are overwhelming. Oh, it's just a Diet Coke. No, it's not just a Diet Coke. It's one of the worst things you could drink. It's one of the most poisonous things you could drink. You have determined that it's just a Diet Coke, that it's just a little ketchup. That doesn't mean that that's the way your body perceives it. So once again, if you're not honed in on this, if you've never made your own ketchup from scratch, your own barbecue sauce from scratch, your own salad dressing from scratch, how can you say that you can't lose weight? How can you say it? When I very first went through my health and wellness journey, and I'm learning, because I'm not aware. The reason I can say this with such conviction is I used to think the same thing. Oh, it's just a sweet tea. Oh, it's just ranch. It's just ketchup. It's just mustard. It's just mayonnaise. Until I started looking up how to make this stuff, right? And when I learned how you make it from scratch, and I looked at the ingredients, and then I looked at the ingredients in the package, that's when my eyes opened. I'm like, this isn't even real food. These condiments they're toxic chemicals with colors and dyes and artificial flavors. So I know I spent a lot of time here on this because this is the main point. I hear this so much. I don't eat that much. Well, what are you eating specifically? What are you putting in your mouth? If you're not intentional, if you're not mindful around your eating, if you don't have a food journal, if you don't know exactly what you're eating, the ingredients in it, how it affects your body, how can you say you don't eat that much? You have no idea what you're consuming. We're going to move on to point 2 because I could stay on point 1 all day. I'm very passionate about that. Look, most of us are living sedentary lifestyles, all right? What do we hear? I'm too busy to work. Look, time management is one of the greatest tools for successful people. I am probably the busiest person I know. Like, I'm probably the busiest person that I personally interact with. And I'm not saying that as a badge of honor. I would much rather not be as busy as I am. I like being busy, but the way how busy I am, it's a mess. And what it's forced me to do is have to learn time management skills. Now, before I was as busy as I am today, I didn't have the skills, the time management skills I have today. I didn't need them. Well, at least I didn't believe I needed them. But the point is, for all the people around me who say that they don't have time, when I look at their lives, every single time, because I'm telling you, I'm the most busy person I know. So when I look at people around me to say they don't have time for this, that, and the other, it's like, yeah, you don't have time because you're wasting time, because you're not properly managing your time, because you've never put intention on time management, how to get more success out of the time that you have in the day. And when you have poor time management, you'll never have time. You'll never feel like you have time. So here's another great statement. If you guys are saying, well, I don't have time to go to the gym, exercise, or whatever, and you've never taken a day or even 3 days to look at time management and improving your time management skills, then once again, being fat is a choice. This is what it boils down to. You're not allowed to tell me you don't have time when you've never put towards time and energy to become better at managing your time. It's no different from finances. People say, oh, I don't have money for this, I don't have money for that. Well, what's your budget? Well, I don't know. I buy what I can so you've never budgeted. You've never thought about how much money you spend on this, that, whatever. And so you say you don't have enough money, but you don't budget your money. Okay? It's very easy for time to slip through the cracks, just like money can slip through the cracks when you're not budgeting, you're not managing it, you're not paying attention, you're not being intentional, you're not being mindful. So the next thing you need to do is start being mindful about the time. Write it in your journal. Go every day, at the end of the day, look at how much time you spent. How much time did you spend doom scrolling on Instagram? The reality is, what does it take to do a 20-minute walk? You doom scroll on Instagram for 15-minute sessions at a time without even thinking about it. What's a 20-minute walk? We're not asking you to go out and be a pro athlete and be in the gym for 2 hours a day. A 20-minute walk every evening after your meal with a little bit of water would change your life. Especially if you're in the category of, I can't lose the weight, I've tried everything. You ain't never walked 20 minutes a day consistently, coupled with mindful eating. Those two things alone, you get your hydration levels up, you walk, you have proper mindful eating, right? Proper dietary strategy, you will lose weight. Why can I say that so confidently? Because if you're not doing it now, that is a vast improvement on where you are. That extra energy that you're expelling, the extra mindful you're putting towards your food, you're going to digest better. Walking after your meal helps your body digest better. That means you could clear what you just ate. You drink your water, you stay lubricated, you stay hydrated. Then when you get a nice good night's rest, you'll start breathing out that extra waste and you'll slim down. It's going to happen very quickly. All right. So you're not too busy to work out. You just have poor time management skills. Look, this might sting. But I'm not saying I'm the busiest person in the world. Okay. I don't want you guys to think that I'm saying that. But I know a lot of people. And I don't know anybody more busy than me. Okay. And so there's always time. You can always get more time. You just might need to adopt the practice of abnegation. You want to put other things to the side so that you can focus on things that what you would consider a priority. And if your weight is a priority, or if you feel like, if you're one of the people to be like, you can't lose weight, this be the good practice for you. All right. Point number 3, poor food choices. So food is too expensive. I've told you guys the story of my coworker. This is obviously from like 10 years ago. I worked with a guy. He had a family of 5. I think 5, including his wife, and then him 6. So pretty decent sized family, especially in modern times. We made the same amount of money, generally speaking. He made a little less than me, but nothing crazy. We made generally about the same amount of money. So I knew how much money he was making. It's not like, it was, unbeknownst to me, right? I was obviously shopping at Whole Foods and Sprouts and things of that nature, farmers markets. That's where I was shopping at the time. So I was very familiar with the pricing and how much things cost. He would tell me it's cheaper to go to KFC, get a bucket of chicken and some sides and whatever to feed the 6 people in his family versus to go to Whole Foods and grocery shop. And I would challenge that, and I'd be like, well, how much money are you talking, right? And he might throw out a number like $58. For $58, I could go do this, that, whatever. And my jaw would literally detach from my head and just drop to the ground. I'm like, so you're spending between $38 and $58 a night for dinner for a family of 6, and you're telling me that's more cost effective than going to Whole Foods, which is probably one of the most expensive places you could shop, and getting organic food. You're telling me that that's the case. Here's the reality. He had never shopped at Whole Foods. He had no idea what it cost to go get a bag of, organic quinoa, a bag of potatoes, a bunch of apples or oranges or bananas, right? Some avocado, some bell peppers. He had absolutely no idea what those things cost. What he was comparing healthy eating to was junk food eating. So when he went to the grocery store, he's on the inner aisles, he's getting cereal, he's getting chips, he's getting cookies, he's getting Lunchables, he's getting frozen fruit dinners. He's on the inner side. So when you go to Whole Foods and you try to buy junk food, it's going to be exorbitant. It's going to be super expensive. If you go and you buy the organic cereal, you're going to get a little box of cereal that's going to cost you $5, maybe $5.89. It's literally 2 bowls of cereal. Don't ask me how I know. So, yes, when you go to Whole Foods and you shop like you're shopping at Kroger or Tom Thumb or whatever grocery store y'all have, of course it's going to be exorbitant. That's not what that store is for. Okay? If you're going there to eat healthy, you need to be shopping in the produce section. You need to be getting whole foods. Whole foods are always going to be cheaper than boxed foods and packaged foods. All right? You have a large family, buy in bulk. You go to the grocery store 2 times a week. You buy in bulk because you're buying fresh groceries. It means you can't buy a week's worth of food because some stuff might spoil. So you just go twice a week. Once again, time management. Well, if you can save a little money on your food, you have a little bit more energy after work, you can afford to go to the store twice a week because you're not so tired after work. I'm telling you from personal experience. From changing my health, I had more energy. It was okay for me to go to the store after work. Before, I didn't want to stop anywhere. I was so tired and so sluggish. I'd get to the house, I couldn't even take my clothes off before I fell asleep on the bed. Okay, so that all matters. That all plays into your time management. If you're oversleeping because you're not taking good care of your body because you're obese or you're fat or you're overweight or whatever the case may be, maybe you just have low energy, yeah, you can recoup some of that time from eating better. Okay? And I know this is a hard truth for a lot of people, but this is the message today, man. This is what was placed on my heart today. So the reality is a bag of garbanzo beans. You find yourself some seasonal produce, some gourds, get you some squash, some pumpkins or something like that. It's so easy to cook healthy, delicious, whole food, but it takes time and intention if you're not used to it. So I want to put that out there. Is healthy food more expensive? Yes. But is it unaffordable? No. It's not unaffordable. If you have the money to afford the junk food that you're currently eating, you also have the money to afford healthy food. It's just about shopping different. And I'm going to tell y'all something else. I had the same conversation with one of my family members years ago, and they were telling me they didn't have the money to afford healthy food. And then what I did was I took the extra step to say, okay, what are the resources you have available? Okay, you got this, that, whatever. All right, you don't have a lot of money. Guess what? There are food pantries available where you can go and get organic produce for free. I even looked them up and sent them a list of different places they can go and get free food. So when you say you can't afford it and you can't do this and that, it's just an excuse. And the point of this call today is to prove that. Have you gone to a food pantry? Do you know that there's fresh fruits and vegetables available for free in your local area? Now, I'm not saying this is available across the world. I live in the United States. But for the mass majority of my listeners, there is a food pantry available to you if you truly can't afford it. There's a food pantry available. There's resources available. There's a local church available. There's food services available where you can get organic vegetables and stuff. And even if it's not organic, go conventional. It's better than eating the processed stuff that you already have. You know, there's farmers markets where you can get amazing prices on fruits and vegetables, but you just haven't put the energy into looking. So you cannot tell me that being fat isn't a choice, because you haven't chosen the option that takes you to optimal health yet. And until you've done that, you cannot tell me that you know your genetics are the reason you're fat, or you have a disorder or a disease. Okay. Point number 4, lack of accountability. It runs in the family, right? My grandmother was obese. My grandfather was obese. My mom's obese. My dad's obese. I have 3 siblings. They're all obese. I'm obese. Of course, it runs in the family. It's genetic. As I kind of started this call, the reality is your genetics are going to determine how tall you are, how you put on weight, your eye color, your hair color, right? Epigenetics may play a role in your you might be predisposed, your predisposition for certain diseases. You might be more susceptible. But this is not a golden pass that says, because I have these things, I have to be fat or I have to be overweight. That's not true. Environmental stimulus plays a much larger role, meaning you could be predisposed to obesity because of, you know, epigenetics or something like that. However, that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed. There is something you can do about it. And it's important for people to know that it is not their genetics that's making them fat, because if you think it's your genetics, you think it's your destiny. And if you think it's your destiny, you know there's nothing you could do about that. I'm 6'6". It was my destiny. There's nothing I could do about my height. My grandfather was 6'5". My uncle was 6'4". My brothers are all over 6 foot. My dad is over 6 foot. I was never going to be 5'5". There's nothing I could do about that. And people say, that's ridiculous, Chris. You never want to be 5'5". That's not the point. It doesn't matter. The point is, there's nothing I could do to make myself 5'5". I was going to be over 6 foot, right? And so if I had this desire as a child, I want to be 5'5", it wasn't going to happen, because my genetics are going to say, bro, you're going to be over 6 foot. So we understand that. We understand that genetics have that power. So if we think that our obesity is tied to genetics, we're going to say there's nothing we could do. The reality is you lack accountability. Okay? Are you refusing to track progress? Do you have mentorship? Don't just hide behind genetics. Have you worked with a coach? Have you worked with a team? Have you worked with a community? And then have you been consistent? And have you followed through? Were you a good student? Did you listen? When I tell you guys, like, the mass majority of people that I work with start off strong and they do everything I ask them to do, and then within a week or so, they fall off at varying rates. It is so rare for someone to work with me longer than a month and be consistent throughout the entire time. So what is that telling me? Even people who are getting coaches and stuff, you guys aren't necessarily being consistent. You're not necessarily taking the advice and following it for a period of time that's going to change your life or have a significant improvement. Or you might actually see an improvement, but then one thing happens in your life, right? You have one thing that gets you off track, and now all of a sudden you're all up in those bad habits again. Be consistent, get coaching, join a community, be active in that community. When you inevitably fall off the wagon, maybe create an accountability post, reach out to somebody, let them know what happened so they can help you get back on. You got to it's a work in progress. You can't expect to in 30 days to undo 30 years of dis-ease and bad choices. Look, the reality is you are the sum total of all the decisions you've made up until this point. This is what I tell people. So if you are at a place in life that you don't want to be, it's your fault. Is that not obvious? Whose else's fault is it? You don't have the man you want. You don't have the woman you want. You don't have the job you want. You don't have the money you want. You don't have the relationship with God that you want. You don't have the physique you want. And so on and so on and so on. When you don't have what you want in life, and you've been at it for 20, 30, 40 years, whose fault is that? Take accountability. Once you start taking accountability for where you are in life and really looking at what you're good at, what you're not good at, then you could be like, all right, I don't budget my time well. Maybe I should seek a life coach, someone who can help me budget my time better. Now you can get ahead because you're not good at budgeting your time. Why are you depending on yourself to help you budget your time and you suck at it? You already know you suck at it. If you don't understand health and wellness, why are you the one making all your health and wellness decisions? You need to make an executive call and say, hey, Chris, Stephen Michael, Jasmine, Coach Shell, Coach Mel, Johnny Jupiter, I don't do well with my health and wellness. I've been at this for the past 2-3 years. Can you help me? We will give you direction. We'll give you guidance. You know? Like, that's the whole point of the brand. You could just join our free membership and be a part of our community and ask someone in the community who you see doing what you want to do. Hey, how are you doing this? How do you manage your time? You'll find that there are so many people who have full lives. They got husbands, they got wives, they have children, they work 1 or 2 jobs, and they are accomplishing what you want to accomplish. You only have one job, you're not married with no kids, and you talking about you don't got enough time. Okay? So when you take accountability, it empowers you. It is disempowering to use excuses. Be accountable. All right? Last point, emotional eating. I deserve to eat like this after the day that I had. This one right here is so trash because what I found early on in my wellness career as I was helping people, a lot of people would actually start their fast this way. To this very day, I still hear people saying this. Oh, Chris, before hey, listen, I wanted to get it in before I started my fast. No shade. I used to think the same thing. If I'm not gonna eat for X amount of time, I'm gonna get it in for, you know what I'm saying? I want to enjoy my last meal. It wasn't until I started changing my diet and eating healthy and fasting that I realized that was a major flaw in people's thinking. So I'll say it's a natural way that we think in modern society, right? You think about like people that are on death row, like what do you want your last meal to be? Like you kind of think about it that way when you're about to start fasting. You're like, man, what do I want my last meal to be? And what is it going to be? It's going to be whatever you want. It definitely ain't going to be some raw pizza that you get from the spot down the street that you ain't never had. You don't know if it's even if it's tasty or not. You're going to go to your favorite pizza spot with all the fat and the sugar and the salt and everything that's in it, right? So we have to understand that this whole idea of emotional eating, and I deserve this after the day I had, and that's not a reward. We have to change our perspective around that ideology. That's what I did. I used to love eating pizza. Well, I still love eating pizza, but I used to eat pizza like once a week. So when I started changing my habits, what I said was, I'm going to reward myself by reducing the amount of toxic food I eat, i.e. pizza, i.e. ice cream. I've decided that I'm going to improve my health. I'm going to improve my energy levels. I'm going to improve my cognitive function. And the way I do this and the way I reward myself is by not eating those toxic things. I'm going to do my best to remove that stuff from my diet, from my weekly diet as much as possible. So I can give myself the opportunity to be healthy for the first time. Because I had never done that before. And I just, I went a long time without eating it at all. And then when I brought it back in my life, I was like, once a month. You know what I mean? Now, the beautiful thing about it is when you give yourself the time, you put in the work, you get rid of the cravings, and you truly start that healing process, you don't crave the food anymore. So it's easy to be like, once a month. I'll have the ice cream every once in a while, or I'll make it from scratch. So what I started doing was I started making ice cream from scratch. I started making the pizza from scratch. I make cookies from scratch. And I'm not talking about like boxes, right? Where you go get the box and you have the processed stuff. I'm talking about I'll go get the flour. I'll go get the eggs. I'll go get the butter. I'll go get the sugar. I mix it all together. And I would buy high quality ingredients. And it was intentional. It was very good. I noticed that my body would digest it differently. I wouldn't have gas and bloating and stuff after it because it didn't have all those extra ingredients in it that comes in the processed stuff. Also, I found that a lot of my favorite foods I could make better at home. So I was actually getting higher quality food that tastes better. The only thing I was sacrificing was my time. But guess what? Because of my intention on my time management skills, I had more time. So what I did was I learned how to eat high quality meals out of my kitchen in 30 minutes or less. That was my goal. Whenever I cooked, I wanted to be in and out of the kitchen in 30 minutes. And so I learned how to prep stuff, right? But this is a process. You go through this process when you're intentional. So if you're going to just use the excuse that, oh, I had a rough day, I just deserve it. No, learn emotional discipline. And you can learn emotional discipline through hormonal balance. And you get better hormonal balance through proper eating, dietary strategy, and detoxification. If you're not doing those things on a consistent basis, then no, you don't deserve to eat pizza and ice cream and go to the Chinese buffet. It's the absolute worst thing you could do. You're only perpetuating the lie, which is, I'm fat because there's nothing I could do about it. No, being fat is a choice. If you guys want some help with learning about your body, learning better habits, check us out. All right, join ahacommunities.com. All right, you can come join. That's our free membership. We host challenges. We just launched our DR48 Advanced Challenge, where it's our first hybrid fasting technique where, you know, we use all these different fasting styles. We string it together so that you have a seamless fasting experience. It's incredible. Hundreds of people joined. Literally, it's day 3. I think we already had people talk about they losing 6 pounds, 7 pounds, 8, 9, 10 pounds. It's just prep, y'all. We ain't even started the fasting yet. So when you understand the body, you understand what's going on, you get outcomes seamlessly. All right. If you guys missed the challenge, go to the ahawellnessacademy.com, go into the store, choose one of our digital programs. If you guys need to rectify emotional healing, trauma, and lose weight, grab the 40-day wellness program. If you want to learn about different fasting methods, get the AHA fasting system. If you want coach-led guidance, grab the premium accountability membership. We have tools available, okay? Most people don't make use of them, and they're not consistent. Those who do get outcomes. If you're not taking advantage of the tools you have available, how can you say that being fat is not a choice? What are you doing about it? All right. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. And as always, the application of knowledge is power, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.
Alkaline.